Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. It is Timer Tip Tuesday time, noon o'clock on the East Coast. We have a fairly small group today, which is just fine. So I just wanted to point out to you guys that on your little control panel for GoToWebinar, you have the ability to ask questions. And so I am going to go through the slides fairly quickly, and then we're actually going to jump on to race setup. And like that way, if you have specific questions where things are, or how do I do this thing or that thing, we can go through those questions. And if there aren't any, then that's fine too. But again, this is going to be focused on setting up a virtual event in RunSignup. If you need additional help on very, very basic RunSignup needs, I believe it's tomorrow that there is an additional webinar for RunSignup 101. And I think that's Whitney is doing that. I'm not certain what time it is, but I want to say it's at 2 o'clock Eastern. I'll try to get that answer to you before we wrap up. So again, do not hesitate to ask questions. It's a small group. I want you guys to feel like you have a very good understanding of how to set up an event as a timer and how to set up all the virtual event tools and tricks by the end of this. So we'll get going through, and hopefully you guys can see my screen right now. It does look like it's being shared, so excellent. All right, so virtual event setup basics. You can get to this one of two ways. Well, before that, let me just go ahead and say there's a lot of resources on RunSignup. This link, which is actually an event on RunSignup, if we click on that, it brings up a going virtual event page. And this will be shared out in the recording. So if you go to this spot, you've got tons of blogs and webinars on how to go virtual, features, creating a race, different like engaging sponsors, how to set it up, promoting, shipping, race day experience that we talk about a lot, virtual result, all of that is sitting there for you. And there's just lots and lots of tools for you guys to go through. So how do you get to set up a virtual race? You get one of two ways. You can go to the homepage on runsignup.com or within your profile, and you just work through the race wizard. So if I go to my RunSignup profile here and I click on my races, I see create a new race right here at the top. So, and if I click that, it drops us straight into the race wizard. And this is the header on the race wizard. And you can see it's just very easy step-by-step thing to get through all the way from your event setup to promotions and everything in between. So we're not going to go through that. If you have questions about the actual race setup in this regard, you will want to go check out that that webinar tomorrow. Whereas this is more focused on virtual races and you as a timer. So a couple things to keep in mind. There's basically three things that are super important when setting up your race in the race wizard. One is under race wizard, once you've gotten your event set up, is making sure your event type, which is on step one of the race wizard, making sure your event type is set to virtual race challenge. And then number two is making sure your start time and end time are correct. So as it states right here, this start and end time establishes the tracking period for RaceJoy. If you've not used RaceJoy before, it is an amazing tool, especially in the current race environment, where we're not going to in-person races, or most of us aren't going to in-person races. And so one of the, I think the biggest hits of the race industry during the pandemic has been RaceJoy rolled out a run anywhere option which allows you to target a virtual audience nationwide, and they can all run with the app, and it all dumps into a result sets on RunSignup automatically. So a fantastic tool. If you do want to use it, we do have trainings for folks to get RaceJoy certified, but you will need to make sure that the start and end time for each event is set correctly for when you want to receive results out of that RaceJoy platform. And then the third one is making sure your distance is correct. Again, this is step 2 on the Race Wizard. So if you're doing a virtual marathon, again, we still have our start and end times are correct, but our distance is set appropriately. So the fourth thing that we want to make sure we do, and this is I think the last like mandatory thing that you have to do, and that is you have to assign bibs. And once you get into, and we're going to go through how to do this, and we'll even import a person, assign their bib, register a person, all that jazz, so that you can see how that all works. But under bibs, and again, go race day right here, bibs, assign bibs and chips. And then once you get through there, we're going to go into the assign bib numbers at registration time. This is your auto assign during registration, which means that you don't have to keep going back and assigning people's bib as they register. So it's a super hands-off approach to getting that done. And once you click in there, you can have, if you have 2 separate events, you can set up bib ranges. You can share them across events. So you essentially act like you have one pool of bibs and they both pull out of there. And then if folks have already registered, when you assign those bibs, you can assign bibs to people who have already registered. So one thing I do want to make sure, again, sure the settings are correct that we just talked about, but also understanding the difference between a virtual race and a virtual challenge. The virtual race is one result submission for one activity. So if you're doing a virtual marathon, the assumption is that people are going out and they're all in one fell swoop running 26.2 miles. If they're doing a challenge, it could be, I mean, pretty much whatever. And there are a lot of different ways to set up virtual challenges. We're not going to get through all of them, but if you have any specific questions, again, let me know and I'll try to do my best to set up your specific scenario. And that way you have a great understanding of what you're wanting to do for your specific event. So where do you do that? You go into Race Day Tools, Enhance Virtual Race, and Set Up Virtual Race. And you'll want to do that. Usually you want to do that a couple days in advance. I usually suggest doing it almost immediately. And this is just your very, very basic setup. And so again, it's under Virtual Race, Race Day Tools, Virtual Race Challenge Results, and Configure Virtual Results, where you're going to be setting up this information for your virtual event. And you can see our virtual marathon is sitting right there. Again, if we hadn't selected our event type in the Race Wizard as a virtual race challenge, it wouldn't even show up here. So it's only your virtual events show up. And then once it's ready to go, you are going to go into this virtual results settings. And from there, here's what it looks like. Again, this is a very, very simple setup. You're going to select for your results. This is not for RaceJoy. This is just for your results because they don't have to use RaceJoy. You're going to accept results from 11/1 to 1/1. So they have 2 months to complete this one-time event. You can set a result set name. If you want to enable team results, you can. This is where it's more like a corporate type team event where 2 people's times are added together. If you're wanting to do it, if you have a more specific team need, let me know and we can go through that. But in this regard, what kind of activity can they upload? We have just time selected, and they should be sorted by the lowest time, and we're going to set it so that they can go from 2/5/45 to 50 hours. I hope nobody's out there running for 50 hours. So that's a very, very simple, and I said that we were going to run through that very quickly because what I want to do is I want to go in, and I haven't even created this event yet. I just wanted you guys to see what this looks like. So we're on step 1 of the race wizard. We've got just as simple as we could go, and what we'll do is we'll put this one as a shirt, and we'll put, what do we call that one? Virtual test, and we'll put no shirt here. Again, we're going to make this a virtual race challenge. So for both of these, it brings up a pop-up. Let participants submit their own results. Yes, we want that. Is this a virtual challenge event? And again, if you hover over this, if checked, they can upload multiple activities on different days. This is not, we're going to do a virtual race instead of a virtual challenge. So we're going to save this. All of our information is in there, and we're going to save it as a draft. We're going to burn through this really quickly. We'll do 3.1 miles instead of 5K. That way, all of our information will be in miles. And pricing, we're just going to put it at $0. And we'll see how fast we can get through all of this because we're setting up a real event as we speak. And we're not going to do any t-shirts. Theoretically, we should do one for one of them, but it doesn't really matter. We don't care about a logo. Never used that one before. So, so one thing on virtual events to think about is the fact that you're likely not in a specific place. So I usually uncheck show directions on race page. I usually select hide event start times. And then a lot of times I will hide events with closed registration. Just because you might have been transitioning over from a regular event to a virtual event, and so maybe you don't want to show your regular 5K, you only want to show the virtual one. So that's a great thing to do in the race wizard. So our payment account, let's see if I even have one in here. Perfect. Payment account you'll have to create, and I'm not going to do anything in terms of price increase emails or anything like that. So now we have our virtual event set up. So we'll turn photos on, and I'm going to say don't show this pop-up again. Again, your virtual settings, you can click here and it tells you how to set things up. You can go to your settings page or all of these different things to help you learn more about your event. So here, because we talked about specific things, race wizard, we can get back to our race wizard and change things if needed. So we're going to go back to our dashboard. Under race day tools, bibs, assign bibs and chips. We're going to pick this very first one, assign bibs, time of registration. And we're going to select both of these. We'll say 1, starting at 1, no endpoint. And we're going to share it with our no shirt option. Same thing, share it back. Nobody's registered because we just created this, so we don't have to click that. But if we did, we can click that. It doesn't matter one way or the other. And so now your bibs are set up. So now we're going to go into race day tools, virtual challenge results, and configure our virtual results. So as you can see, it's green. It's ready to receive virtual results. Why? Because we set it from 9/1 to 9/30 for both of these. And today is 9/1. It's crazy. Happy September. So we'll go to our virtual results settings. It pulled this information in. Okay. So one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new result set. And I'm just going to call this virtual 5K. And here's why. We have a virtual 5K with a shirt and a virtual 5K with no shirt. They're running the exact same event. So we're going to make both of these events dump into the same result set. So I'm going to use the shirt setup as the master event, if you will. And so I'm going to enable this. Okay. Do we want team results? Nope, we don't have team set up, so we don't have to worry about that. Minimum time, that's fine. 1 minute to 24 hours, perfect. We'll save it. So now we're going to go and set up virtual test 5K with no shirt. So I'm going to come in here again. All of this is set up. So here, because the other one's the master event, we're going to select alternate event submission only, and we're going to select the virtual 5K test as our alternate event. That's all we have to do in this one. And so if you see, it changed the way this looks. Now, anyone posting a result, whether it be manual submission or through RaceJoy, both results will go into the same result set. And we should be able to actually see that. Might have to remove one. So this is the original one. And so we'll actually end up deleting this one. And so our virtual 5K is our only result set. So again, all of that is under virtual challenge results. And if you go and look, our result set name is virtual 5K. And our secondary event, we selected from this drop down alternate event submission only. And we selected the alternate event and we hit save.
Just a note on that,
So
Chris.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so hi everyone, this is Matt Avery, by the way. For the virtual
Matt's on as well, helping out with questions on the back end if you guys have any.
Yeah, and actually for the virtual 5K test shirt, you don't have to check the alternate event option. And if you read the description underneath it, you'll see why. So what that does is it says that participants registered for the virtual 5K test shirt will also be able to submit results for the event selected above. So what this is doing is it's saying people who registered for a shirt also can submit their virtual results to the no shirt event. For this setup, I don't think we need that, Chris. We just need that on the other one.
All right.
Because
so
we want to say that the folks who registered for no shirt can post to the shirt, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you really only need it on the no shirt event.
Perfect. So once these folks, once anyone goes in now and submits a result, and this is likely still in draft mode, so I'm going to go in to the race wizard, scroll down on step 1. And so now, once someone is registered, all they'll need to do is come here on this result page and submit virtual results. If you've got RaceJoy set up, we can go through that as well. So for the RaceJoy setup for this event, we're going to enable both of those events and enable mobile results in the RaceJoy app. We're going to hit save and continue. And it's going to tell us we need to put some additional information in and invoice me. And so it goes to your set pricing that you get as a certified timer. So if you need more information about that, feel free to shoot me an email, crisp@runsignup.com, and we can chat about that. But then once it's purchased, our course setup, all we're going to do, let's say it's both or race anywhere. So we're going to just change both of these to miles. And we're going to hit save. And so after review, so our RaceJoy team will get a notification that someone has purchased a buyout and that they're set to race anywhere. And we at RunSignup will review your setup really quickly to make sure everything looks good. And then it will be enabled. So now someone could go in and run anywhere, a 5K, and submit their result again into this result set. And so I'm not sure how quickly we can make this happen, but we can import a person really quickly. And we'll say it's for the shirt. Ooh, didn't mean to zoom in. Sorry about that. We'll say my bib number is, well, we won't even assign a bib number since it's assigning it for us. I don't think we need anything else for the import. And so I'm in there, and so you can see it auto-assigned me bib number 1. So now I'm in there. So let's say I want to submit my virtual results. I'm going to click this. Here we are, right here. Submit virtual result. I ran a time of 24 minutes. Submit my time, and it says my activity has been saved. I can also click to submit my photos right here if I wanted to, but this is again for the athletes. So if I go in, it's going to take, usually takes, I don't know, 60 seconds or so. Most people, when they push results up, aren't looking at that very moment, but yeah, I'll hit refresh a couple more times. So, and it will populate. There we are. So, and I didn't put a city and state in or anything like that. So you can see all of this information. And then as the timer, one thing to know, you can click this little guy right here. And you can hide columns if you don't want to see them. And, or maybe I want the age right beside the gender. So I hit save, and now, and maybe I don't care about seeing the bib number either. Now, when somebody else goes to this page, this is what they're going to see. So again, it is a fairly small crowd on today, so I wanted to see if anyone had any questions. Did this make sense to everyone? Have you guys found the question section? Anyone? Hopefully you can hear me and have been able to hear me the whole time. Well, that's pretty much all I have. If you have, oh, here you go. We got one. Can you upload a bib design? Absolutely. So if you want to upload a bib design, what you're going to do, it's a great question. So under raise day tools and under bibs, you have, this is where we went to assign bibs and chips. And you can see the customized digital bib directly underneath that. So if you click that button, you have 2 options here. And those 2 options are create using our template and create using your design. So if you create using our template, it's it's appropriate but boring, if you will. So I didn't drop a race logo in, otherwise it would be sitting right there. But you have all of these additional fields, and you can double click on things and change your font. You can change your color. You can remove this. And so you see what it looks like. So, or maybe I want to put the race name, and you can drag it up here. And I hit save. Right? And so I will set this one as a default in save settings. And so in order to see that, see what it looks like, if we go back, we can go to find a participant, and we see my name right here. If I click on this bib number, boom. Again, like I said, we made that super, super ugly. However, I've been using this one as an example because they did a great job. And I'll put my name in here. And if we go to bib number 99, this is what you can do. So they designed all of this out, and the only field is right here and right here. So if I go in to the race dashboard for this event, and we go down to race day tools, Bibs, customized digital bib, we can see that there's two fields here, one for the participant name and one for the bib number. So they uploaded, what they did, Felissa, is they uploaded this background. So all of this except for this box and this box, you can see these two bounding boxes around it, right there and right there. They uploaded everything else in a single image. And then they added one of these components, and they just clicked it and drug it to where they wanted it, resized it, they double clicked it and picked the color that they wanted. And again, like I showed you, I mean, it looks really, really good. I use this as an example because I think they did a real amazing job with how you can make things look. Similarly, let's see. I'm going to see if I can find this other event. So if we find a participant here, not sure if I can get to any of these results. Well, I'm not going to be able to get to these results. They did a very, very cool finisher certificate similarly. So just like you did for the Bibs, you can go into results and custom finisher certificates. It's a very, very similar setup. You can create your own design. Again, it gives you a background for that backdrop, or for this, you have a lot of different templates. These ladies decided to do a super cool certificate with a certificate of completion. So they removed the times and everything to only show the participant name. So this is something to think about if you're doing a challenge with maybe novice athletes, where they're not as keen on their time, but they do want they do want to be acknowledged for having finished. So a couple of really cool different ways of doing things that you as a timer can even upsell to your events as, you know, hey, we'll help design your certificate of completion, and maybe you go into Illustrator and you have something set up and you just drop their logo in the top corner. Similarly, you have a really cool layout for folks, and you drop the boxes where you want them. Are there any other questions? All right, well, if not, then thank you so much for attending. And again, tomorrow there is an additional webinar on the basically RunSignup 101. So if you're very new to RunSignup and you want just a deeper dive all the way around with how everything works, it would be a great thing. I would really suggest you jumping in on that. But otherwise, feel free to shoot me an email if you have questions, crisp, C-R-I-S-P, @runsignup.com. And I hope you folks have a great rest of your day. Take care.